The more he explained himself, the more they doubted him. So he stopped talking, and they never questioned him again.
Imagine you are standing in a room filled with voices, each one clamoring for attention, each word spilling over the other in a desperate attempt to be heard. Yet, in the center of the chaos, you stand, silent and still. Your mere presence commands respect, not through force or loud declarations, but through the power of restraint. This is the essence of Laozi's philosophy, the paradox of influence, the quiet force that shapes the world without drawing attention to itself. In a world that rewards noise and constant assertion, the idea that true power lies in stillness and humility feels counterintuitive. Yet, history is filled with examples of leaders, thinkers, and revolutionaries who have changed the course of human events not through brute force, but through the weight of their presence, their wisdom, and their ability to yield rather than resist. Laozi teaches that water, though soft and yielding, can carve through the hardest stone simply by flowing in accordance with nature's way. It does not struggle, yet it prevails. This principle, known as Wu Wei, or effortless action, suggests that true influence is not about aggressive control, but about harmony with the natural flow of things. Those who chase after power, constantly striving to assert dominance, often find themselves met with resistance, exhaustion, and eventual failure. Meanwhile, those who move with patience, who understand the art of waiting, of allowing things to unfold in their own time, become the architects of profound change. This is not passivity, but rather an intelligent form of engagement with life, one that recognizes when to act and when to remain still. Consider the greatest teachers, those who do not impose knowledge but instead create the space for others to discover truth for themselves. Their impact is not in the volume of their words, but in the depth of their understanding. The same can be said of wise leaders, whose influence is not measured in the number of commands they give, but in their ability to inspire trust, loyalty, and action without coercion. The world today is more chaotic and fast-paced than ever, with social media, politics, and modern culture urging people to be louder, to take up space, to fight for visibility. Yet, Laozi's wisdom remains a reminder that sometimes the most powerful thing one can do is to be silent, to listen, and to embody presence rather than demand attention. The quiet force of true influence does not seek validation, nor does it impose itself on others. Instead, it draws people in, much like the stillness of a mountain or the vastness of the ocean. It is the paradox of leadership. The more one lets go of the need to control, the more control one ultimately has. The silent figure in the room is not weak. They are the anchor amidst the storm, the eye of the hurricane, the force that holds everything together without needing to proclaim its strength. In this way, Laozi's philosophy continues to whisper through the ages, reminding us that sometimes the greatest power lies not in speaking, but in being. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. These profound words attributed to the ancient Chinese philosopher Laozi reveal an uncomfortable yet undeniable truth about power, wisdom, and authority. In a world where knowledge is often equated with the ability to articulate complex ideas, this statement challenges conventional thinking. It suggests that those who truly understand do not feel the need to constantly assert their knowledge, while those who are eager to speak and prove themselves may, in reality, lack true understanding. The essence of this paradox lies in the nature of wisdom itself. True wisdom does not seek validation. It does not demand recognition or applause. It exists as an intrinsic force, unshaken by the need for external acknowledgement. A person who possesses genuine knowledge remains composed and unbothered by the opinions of others because they are secure in their understanding. Their authority is not built on words, but on actions, insights, and an unshakable presence. In contrast, those who constantly speak in an effort to assert their knowledge may be compensating for a lack of true depth. Their words become a smokescreen, an attempt to convince others, and perhaps even themselves, that they possess wisdom that may not truly be there. This concept can be observed in various aspects of life, from leadership to personal relationships. The most respected leaders are often those who do not need to dominate every conversation or constantly remind others of their authority. Instead, their power is felt in their silence, in their ability to listen, analyze, and act decisively without unnecessary explanations. Their wisdom speaks for itself, requiring no embellishment. On the other hand, individuals who seek to control conversations, impose their viewpoints, and drown out dissenting voices often reveal their own insecurities. The louder one speaks, the more one exposes their need for validation, revealing their uncertainties and vulnerabilities in the process. Even in everyday interactions, this principle holds true. Think of the people you respect the most, those whose opinions carry weight and whose presence commands attention. More often than not, they are the ones who speak sparingly, choosing their words carefully and deliberately. Their silence is not a sign of ignorance, but of depth. They understand that not every thought needs to be expressed, not every argument needs to be won, and not every truth needs to be shouted from the rooftops. Laozi's philosophy emphasizes the power of mystery and the value of restraint in speech. His words suggest that by not revealing everything one knows, an individual cultivates an aura of enigma, an intriguing presence that naturally draws the attention and respect of others. This deliberate silence is not an absence of wisdom, but rather a form of controlled expression, a way of allowing insight to manifest through actions rather than excessive words. It is this ability to hold back, to speak only when necessary, that signifies true authority and influence. In many ways, this perspective aligns with the ancient principle that true wisdom is not in verbosity, but in thoughtful silence. The more a person speaks, the greater the risk of diluting their message. When words are abundant, their weight often diminishes. But when speech is measured and intentional, each word carries profound significance. This is why those who possess deep knowledge do not feel the need to prove themselves through constant explanation. Instead, their presence alone conveys understanding, and when they do choose to speak, their words command attention. This idea is not limited to philosophical teachings, but extends into various aspects of life, including leadership, social interactions, and personal growth. In leadership, for example, those who exercise restraint in speech and allow their actions to demonstrate their vision are often the most respected. A leader who speaks incessantly without delivering results loses credibility, whereas one who carefully selects their words and follows through with meaningful actions gains trust and loyalty. The quiet leader, whose wisdom is reflected in their deeds, often inspires more than the one who seeks to dominate conversations. In personal relationships, the power of mystery plays a crucial role in maintaining intrigue and depth. When individuals reveal every thought and feeling without discretion, they risk diminishing the sense of discovery that fosters connection. However, when someone maintains a level of mystery, they invite curiosity and deeper engagement from those around them. This does not mean withholding truth or being deceptive, but rather recognizing that not every thought needs to be voiced, and that silence can often communicate more than words. Furthermore, in the pursuit of personal growth, practicing restraint in speech allows for greater self-awareness and mindfulness. Speaking less provides an opportunity to listen more, to absorb knowledge, to observe the nuances of a situation, and to respond with greater clarity and intention. It fosters humility as it acknowledges that there is always more to learn, and that wisdom is not about having all the answers, but about knowing when to seek them. Laozi's teachings encourage individuals to embrace the paradox of silence as a form of strength. The ability to hold back, to allow space for wisdom to emerge organically, is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of self-mastery. It is through this restraint that true influence is wielded, not by shouting the loudest, but by speaking with intention, precision, and depth. In a world that often equates noise with importance, the quiet presence of an individual who understands the power of mystery stands out, leaving a lasting impact on those who encounter them. Ultimately, the saying, "He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know," serves as a powerful reminder that wisdom is not about proving oneself through words, but about embodying knowledge through quiet confidence. True authority does not beg to be acknowledged. It exists undeniable and unwavering, like a mountain unmoved by the winds of opinion. Consider the great leaders, the ones who shaped history not through endless speeches or elaborate justifications, but through their presence, their actions, and their ability to move without announcing every step. The most powerful figures do not waste time convincing others of their strength. They simply embody it. In contrast, those who constantly seek validation, who flood the air with words to assert their knowledge, reveal their own uncertainty. They unravel the very power they seek to hold. In the modern world where information is currency and social media amplifies every voice, silence has become a rare and valuable commodity. We are conditioned to explain, to justify, to respond immediately to every challenge. Yet, with every over-explanation, we surrender a piece of our authority. A leader who constantly explains their decisions appears insecure. A thinker who constantly defends their ideas seems unsure of their own wisdom. Laozi's wisdom is not just about words, but about knowing when to stay silent. True strength is not found in loud defiance, but in quiet insight. Real power lies in knowing when to step back, when to act, and when to let things grow naturally. The best tacticians do not trumpet their plans or lay bare their strategies. They act in the shadows and let their footsteps decide the course of events, not their pronouncements. No, like a river which cuts through stone not by force but by persistence, those who exercise true power do not impose their force and violence, but rather align themselves to the natural flow and spiritual unfolding of existence itself. And strength is not about flexing muscles or the need to dominate anyone, but about embodying power in its purest, most effortless form. The most powerful do not need to prove their power, they just are, and their quiet confidence is louder than any statement ever could be. This is the nature of effortless power. To not move against the grain, to not push something, to not have to do what is opposite to doing something, to achieve something. He collapse of arrogance. Wu Wei, pronounced Wu Wei, is the art of effortless action, a Taoist principle that teaches the futility of struggle and the wisdom of flowing with life's rhythms. Those who understand this principle realize that we are only effective when we know when to act and when to be still, not when we are perpetually struggling. Like the wind molding mountains over millennia, or the tide deepening the shore without display, the most powerful people and philosophies are those that work quietly, yet interdependently. They create impact not by invasion, but by understanding and presence. This outlook is in stark contrast to the modern world in which noise is frequently conflated with intelligence and might with strength. To be heard, many turn to shouting. To be seen, to demanding attention. To be successful, to exerting control. But Laozi teaches that the opposite is true. That the greatest leaders are the ones that do not wish to lead. The most powerful forces do not shout but work quietly. And the most transformative actions emerge when we do not move or interfere the way we forcefully wish to, but rather we wait for the natural course of action. Hence the reason that the smartest people don't say much, not because of stupidity, but because they know that intention doesn't create reality, action does. Their power is in being patient, in not reacting immediately to things, in knowing that timing and precision matter much more than impulsive action. People who follow this creed are never in a hurry to prove themselves because they have to. Being there is how they do. Unlike blaring spectacles of ability, this silent authority produces deeper and more enduring outcomes, because it is sourced from genuine behavior, not the transient quest to be liked. In a world where control, assertion, and violence rule, to move in grace, to let things happen rather than force them, is a rare and precious skill. It demands deep trust, not just in ourselves but in the flow of life itself. It is about realizing that not every war needs to be waged, not every fight needs to be fought, and that at times, the most colossal win is in conceding to the external phenomena as opposed to fighting them. The sage does not dictate but teaches, He does not lead his followers through arrogance, he leads them by way of example, through presence, not through coercion. And mastering your art is truly found in stillness, in the kind of calmness that can absorb and not be absorbed by the noise. This is not laziness, but an active wisdom that demands discipline and self-awareness. They embody this philosophy and do not seek approval from others. They work from an internal conviction, knowing that true strength does not need to be proclaimed, it simply is. Which is why the most powerful forces in the world are often the least visible: the pull of gravity, the shifting of the seasons, the quiet but inexorable alteration of nature. These forces have no agenda that takes them out, but the impact, they are undeniable. The most influential people do not seek attention. Their mere presence shapes events. This way of being is one of true power, not one that is based on struggle or control or domination, but rather one that flows through a mastery of understanding, timing, and attunement to the greater flow of the natural world. But this philosophy is not about mere manipulation. It is about alignment with the natural flow of existence. Water does not argue with the rocks in its path. It moves around them, shaping them over time with quiet persistence. The wind does not demand respect. It commands it by its very presence, by the unseen force that bends trees and carves landscapes. True power does not seek recognition. It simply moves, reshapes, and endures. To embrace this philosophy is to step back from the noise, to recognize that not every battle needs to be fought, not every truth needs to be spoken. There is power in ambiguity, in the ability to leave things unsaid. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and warriors throughout history have understood this. Their power was not in their words, but in the space between them, in the silence that made their presence undeniable. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, to prove your knowledge, to justify your actions, pause. Let silence do the work. Let your presence speak. The more you explain, the less they respect you.